So that was the analysis. Do you have any questions at this point?
อาจารย์มีคำถามอะไรไหมครับ
Okay. No, not right now. You
Okay.
can continue.
So I'll give a introduction into the SciVal web-based interface. So when you go to SciVal, it actually exists from 4 modules, and my understanding is KMITL subscribes to overview and benchmarking modules. So those are the ones which I will focus on today. There are many different metrics in SciVal, which metric is the same word as indicator. So in the same way in which when people talk about the economy and they talk about GDP and they talk about growth in GDP and they talk about unemployment and inflation and all of these things, those are all economic indicators which help people to tell a story about the state of the economy. And the same is true for research. We have all of these different indicators or metrics which help you to understand different aspects of research performance. I'm not going to go through each one because that would be quite boring. I try to teach about the metrics by showing analysis and doing some exercises because it's a bit more fun. But if you want to read about the metrics in detail, in SciVal there's a question mark, so there's a help section on the top right, and in the help menu there's a research metrics guidebook that you can download, which is really detailed about conceptually what each metric is, how it was calculated, how it can be used. So all your answers are there, but it takes a bit of work because it is quite a detailed document. But for those of you interested, it's there just to be downloaded. So I will now share my other window, which is this one. And okay, so when we come to SciVal, you'll see that you have access to overview module and to benchmarking.
Yes.
And do the people in the room have access?
Right now, yes.
Okay. So overview is like a dashboard of research performance. It is it's a good place to start your exploration. So in overview, you can see a dashboard, but you can only look at one entity at a time. So in terms of entities, you have institutions. So if you want to add an institution, let's say we want to look at Mahidol, just type in Mahidol, it will right, so now we're looking at Mahidol. Here you have researchers and groups. So this is where I have your faculty structure. Here we have publication sets. So a publication set is any group of articles. So what I did is I went and found the papers of University of Malaysia Perlis Nanoelectronic Engineering, and I uploaded them from Scopus into SciVal so that I could make that comparison. Here, countries, regions, and groups, you can search for any country. So if I want to look at Laos, right here I can look at the research performance of Laos. But I can also look at groups, like I have this group here, ASEAN, which is the 10 countries in Southeast Asia. But there are also other groups, like if I start to type in Asia Pacific, it will find Asia Pacific and load that. And there is even one here called World. And the world is an interesting one because for world, you can really see everything about research topics and, for example, how many papers were there published in chemistry in the whole world. So that's an interesting benchmark to keep in mind. You have regions and even the whole world here. But if you wanted to look at Thailand, for example, you could look at Thailand and look at the universities and explore here. But probably you want to look at your own university, right? So if we look at your university, the first page is kind of like a summary. We can see the number of papers and citations, citation impact. Here we can choose 3, 5, and 10 years, right? So you can either choose 3, 5, or 10 years. I like to use 5, so I'm currently using 2014 to 2019, but it depends on what you want to do. Here, you have a subject filter. So the subject filter, you have 27 subject areas. And whenever you see a triangle, it means you can expand that. So within chemistry, we have different categories of chemistry, which we can choose. So if we want to look at analytical chemistry, for example, here we see that in analytical chemistry, KMITL produced 37 papers, and this is the impact, and these are the research topics, right? Now you have a lot of different things here in the menu. An interesting one is topics and clusters. So here the filter is still on analytical chemistry, but you see that within analytical chemistry, your university publishes in near-infrared spectroscopy, Raman spectral analysis, 36 papers, cited 14% more than world average. So you can analyze these topics, and you have 2 levels of topics, topics and topic clusters. So if I, within topics, press this button here, it will show me the key topics which your university is a key contributor. So here we see heat transfer and operational amplifiers and near-infrared spectroscopy, near-infrared. This is a highly cited area for you. You can analyze that within your university and have a look at the top keywords as well as you know, who the authors are who underlie this particular research strength in this case. You could select the authors and analyze them separately. You can look at your top authors. So here you are looking at the top authors based on output, based on all subject areas. But if you wanted to know, for example, who are your top authors in aerospace engineering, then you would see, and you can see Pornchai published 6 papers, and Varesa Chuatanako 2 papers, but highly cited. Right. You can select your researchers and drop them into an analysis. Right, so basically the overview module is a dashboard of research performance. It's a good place to start exploring. You have all of these different metrics to understand at a high level your university. I can also look at your faculties. So if I want to look at your faculty of medicine, I have to take the subject filter off because the Faculty of Medicine does not publish in aerospace engineering. So we see the Faculty of Medicine has 18 researchers, 91 papers, very high citation impact, so 40% more citations than world average. But if I use this filter here, it will only include the papers which these researchers published at your university. So it's a long story, I'll explain that later. Now, if we move to the benchmarking module, right? So you can either do it here or here. If we go to benchmarking, benchmarking is really to make comparisons, and is a good place to go when you know what you want to do. It's not a good place to just start looking at stuff because you have to tell benchmarking what you want. So for example, currently I'm looking at KMITL, and let's say I want to compare with Thammasat University. Right, so here we're looking at numbers of papers. Let's say I want to look at only original research articles. I can choose here to look at only original research articles. So then you see there's a difference, right? Let's say I want to go back in time, really look, you know, look at history. And then say, well, I want to add Kongkien, and I want to add Kazatsart, right? So you can see these long-term trends. And you have all of these metrics here. So you can say, well, let's say I want to look at the number of papers which we publish in the top quartile journals, right? And we want, let's say we want to use SJR. So here we're going to choose SJR, here total value, top quartile. So actually you see Kongkien produces the most papers, top quartile. You can also look at quartiles in terms of a percentage, which is different. So then you see what percentage of papers are published in top quartile journals. You can combine things. So if you said, well, I want to look at, for example, I want to look at field-weighted citation, or let's say we want to look at number of papers. And I want to look at and you're going to get a chart like this. And you can add a third metric and say, well, I want to look at field-weighted citation impact. And then you get 3, but sometimes it's better to look at a table view. So you can add another metric. So if, let's say we want to know how much have we been collaborating. So here you have the percentage of international collaboration, and you can very easily add for example, we're looking at universities, but if you wanted to choose some faculties, you could add faculties. If you wanted to add as a benchmark, add Perlis, Unimap, add Unimap. If you, as a benchmark, want to add Thailand as a country, you can add Thailand. So here you have country, universities, your university, faculties, different faculties. So you can basically choose and put in to benchmarking whatever you want to put in. And each metric always has, these options of what you want to include and exclude. Or if you're looking at citation, you can include or exclude self-citations. So benchmarking is very flexible, but you need to think about what you want to look at. You can always add everything to reporting. So there's this so I'm going to save this, and let's say I go back to benchmarking, and I really liked this page here. So we wanted to, add it to this report and save. And let's say that we really liked the research topic, so we're going to add it to the report. Let's say we like the College of Nanotechnology overview, so maybe we'll add that to a report. So now that I've gone in benchmarking and I've gone in overview and I've added stuff to a report, if I go to the reporting module, I can see there's this example report which has 3 analysis in it. And if I open this report, so here we see the first one, which was from benchmarking. Here we see the overall research performance. And for each analysis, you can write about your findings. This report, you can either export in different formats, or you can just save it and you can share it with a different user. So you can say, well, I want to share this with my colleague. You just type in there. And I can choose whether they can edit the report or only view it. All right. So I'm going to send the invitation. The cool thing about a report is once you have such a report, once you open the report, if you press this button here, it will automatically open up the data for you. So you don't have to redo everything, right? It took me 10 minutes to select these comparators and to set up the metrics, right? I didn't need to reset it up here because I had saved it as a report. And that means you can go to the report and reopen everything from the report. Lastly, in My SciVal. So My SciVal is the place where you customize SciVal for wait. So here you can see, for example, that the Faculty of Engineering was created by grouping these people together, and that the faculty was created in SciVal by Kanika, and she is the owner. And she has shared it with me, and she also shared it with other people. Some of these people have the right to view, and other people can edit, right?
Right.
So in that way, we can always create things in SciVal, like groups or custom publication sets or whatever it is, and we can share them with other people, or reports can share them with other people, but can always give the right to edit, and you can also unshare it. So if Kanika after the training says, well, I don't want Alexander to see our data anymore, she can unshare the data with me. So that's my SciVal is very important place to go and to manage these kind of customizations. If you go here, you can see the total list of topics and topic clusters. And it means you can also add them to analysis. And if you go to the bottom, you can create custom defined research area. So if an area does not exist in SciVal, you can create it, like cholangio. It's very specific. So here we found that there are 6,000 papers which use the word cholangiocarcinoma either in the title or in the abstract. And if I look here, I can look through the papers to see cholangiocarcinoma, management of cholangiocarcinoma. So I can validate that this is exactly what I was looking for, and I can save it. So I can save it as See, it will take a few hours for SciVal to create the area, and then it will send me an email when it's ready. But it means that any topic, either it already exists within SciVal, or you can use keywords to create the topics and analyze them. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you redo that part again? I think most of us are not following the one that you are defining a new research area.
Sure.
You have to do it slowly, and maybe I will click follow you each by.
So step 1 is my SciVal. Step 2 is the bottom left
Okay.
menu called research areas.
Research area ไหนก็เข้ามาแล้วไม่เห็นเนี่ยเข้ามาแล้วกดแล้วอันนี้เนี่ยจะเนี่ยอันนี้เรียนนะอ๋อโอเคคือทุกคนต้องพยายามกดคลิกให้ทันนะครับว่าไปตรงไหนก่อนดูที่ตรงไฮไลท์ My SciVal กับข้างล่างสุดนะครับทีนี้เดี๋ยวตรงไหนไม่ทันเดี๋ยวผมจะพยายามให้เขา slow down Alex, you may have to slow down a little bit more. Okay, so because we are not, when we click and then it takes some time for the internet. I mean, the internet speed is not not too fast. Okay, it's the Wi-Fi connection.
It's okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we got it this part, and then
to here
everybody
to define new research area, and here you are essentially creating a search phrase. So if we set, for example,
Thailand. Okay. Yeah, got it. Now I'm following. Okay.
So now that I've created this very small research area here, it shows up in the menu, and when we're in overview, I could select it and see here Thailand and electric vehicle. It's worldwide 39 papers, 36 are in Thailand, and 3 of them are from KMITL. Or if we look at the institutions, you would see it's usually 10 papers by Thammasat. Anyway, 3 of them are KMITL. But you don't always have to create your own areas. There are so many areas already existing. So if we look at topics and clusters, which is the box above research areas, so the ones here, topics and clusters. I mean, let's just look at a random area like heat transfer. You can see the top universities in the world, none of them are Thai, but if we go to the summary, you can see that in heat transfer, it's a very hot topic. It's a very highly prominent research topic globally. KMITL has 130 papers cited, 7% more than world average, which is good. And you can see that, let's see. Here, if you want to look at who are your researchers at KMITL who are active in heat transfer, are these people here. And you can see that this one is very impactful. Very high H index as well. Let's see who this person is.